I was born July 29th, 1944, Eureka, California. My name is Timothy William Dinsmore. I was raised in Eureka from birth to the age of 24. I was the second son of three, having two brothers. The first part of my life was spent growing up surrounded by lots of family and friends. I went to local public schools, graduated from high school in 1962, in college in 1966, received a bachelor's degree in liberal arts and my teaching credentials the next year. After graduation, I taught for 2 years in local junior high school. One of my most favorite times growing up was spending time on my uncle's dairy ranch, which is where I learned to milk cows by hand. My favorite trick was to invite my cousins by and squirt them in the face with a stream of milk while they were bending over, looking, trying to figure out what I was doing. It was fun, at least until I ran out of cousins to shoot, after they all got wise to the trick. In school, I was active in scouting and went on numerous hiking and camping trips. I participated in sports, including football, basketball, baseball, and track. One of the best things I did in school was learn how to play a musical instrument and playing in bands and the orchestra, starting in the 4th grade throughout high school and college. A great advantage of participating in music programs was when I was in a trumpet trio with 2 friends and traveled to music educators' conventions in 5 western states. The last one being in Salt Lake City, Utah, where we performed before the National Music Educators Association. We received a superior rating for our performance. Not bad for 3 high school kids. After college, I was a teacher at the junior high level for 2 years. Halfway through the 2nd year of teaching, I received a draft notice from the Selective Service, which stated I was to be put for report for duty at the end of the current school year. To my surprise, there was nothing I could do about it. I was in the Army for nearly 3.5 years, and I was extended an extra 6 months due to a critical shortage of soldiers trained in my military occupational specialty. I spent 2 years in Vietnam and a year in Taiwan as a field military intelligence non-commissioned officer. Most of my time in the Army is a blur of images and happenings. You can ask 1,000 different guys about their Army experiences. You can get 1,000 different answers, the same for everybody. The saving grace of my life at this time is how I learned to cope with it after I met and married my wife. During basic training, I became friends with Jack, a guy who lived in San Diego. After basic, we went on leave. I went to see Jack in San Diego, where he just introduced me to a girl he knew. I dated this girl and became close to her parents as well. I was sent overseas to the fun capital of the world, where I got a Dear John letter from the girl and cakes and cookies from her parents. Actually, I got the better of the deal. After the first tour of duty in Vietnam, I came back to the world, where real people call it the United States. I visited the girl's parents, Marvin and Opal, who had continued to write letters to me overseas and keep in contact. They sent great things, cookies, cakes. The guys in my unit loved it. After arriving in San Diego, they invited me to their home and introduced me to the blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl who lived next door. I guess their object was to keep me grounded until they thought their own daughter and I would get back together. Never happened. What really happened was on that day I met my future wife. Little did we know we'd be married for 41 years, having 2 wonderful children, a girl and a boy. After a second tour in Vietnam, I was stationed in Taiwan. During another leave, I became engaged to Cheryl and returned to Taiwan, where we were married about 6 months later. In the middle of a Typhoon Agnes, Cheryl and I were married. Our Army First Sergeant's home in Chinh Mu, Taiwan, or in this case, a makeshift chapel. After the Army, we lived in San Diego, where both our children were born. Being adventurous, we moved to Colorado for several years, then back to California. We settled in Fresno, where we have remained.